Welcome, Tenno, and this is a kind of gameplay guide and evaluation of Styanax, the new hero that has dropped and is free through September 21st, so long as you log in, of 2022. So Styanax, he's got 4 abilities. Axios Javelin, you throw it, and so long as it hits
Operator,
a
Orders
wall,
wonders.
after
What
you
are
hit
you
an enemy
thinking
with
about?
it will pull everybody in within a, as you can see, 21-meter range. You can throw it 72 meters, with the mods I've got on. Next, you go to Tharo Strike. This is your armor strip, as well as a small heal. Right now, this is the basic build that any player can achieve. Your 3, this you always have up, because every time you kill an enemy, you get energy, or you get shield. And your energy rate down at the bottom is 3.9. That is how much energy you gain per second while this ability is up. So as you can see, we only cost 52.5 energy to cast this, and we get almost 4 energy a second over 39 seconds. So we get 156 energy during this duration, so we can cast this ability 3 times just off of one cast for this. Final Stand is your ultimate, and as you can see from the little slideshow, you go up into the air and you spawn a bunch of other ethereal specters to start throwing javelins everywhere. This is going to be, especially at low level, I want everything in this room gone. If you play Garuda, or you have Garuda, this is essentially her Seeking Talons, but without a lot of the tracking. So, this is the build. This is the basic build. Energy Siphon, Corrosive Protection, pretty much anything that matches its polarity, but we use Energy Siphon just to bump up our 3 just a little bit more. You can use Corrosive Protection if you're going against Grenier. That's always a good option. But we have flows that we are starting energy is enough to cast this immediately when we enter the mission. So we start getting our energy so we can start using our Final Stand, our Theros Strike, and our Axios Javelin. Redirection is going to be key. We have Fast Deflection on here solely for the fact that, especially at lower levels, keeping up this shield is going to be immensely useful for newer players, so that way if they start making mistakes, those mistakes aren't as costly. Intensify, Continuity, Flow, Stretch, Streamline, these are all easy to get mods. If you don't know where to get them, the easiest way, and the way I would recommend, is to enter the Void, and when you get to Phobos, which you go through by taking the Mars Junction from Earth, just go over here. A very easy thing to do if you can't defeat the enemies. I was able to do it just by going through here, doing the Exterminate and the Sabotage, because the Sabotage and the Mobile Defense don't have a cap on the number of enemies that can spawn, so you can kind of just stay there and kill enemies. If you don't like doing that, you can obviously do a defense mission, or wherever the survival mission here is on Mars. Here, you can do that here. Or on the excavation mission. And then once you hit the Void, you're gonna get to Teshav. I would recommend doing Hepit, because Hepit will drop Lith Relics, which you want to start farming prime parts for either ducats or platinum, or to simply build the items yourselves. But Hepit will sometimes do Orokin challenge rooms. You'll notice that they're timed parkour challenges, but at the end of them, there'll be rooms with a lot of Orokin containers. Break all those and you'll have chances of getting rare mods. That is where I have all of my mods that I just showed you from. So next is what I call the team player, or I guess back here. Carnus Carapace is here solely as a flex mod. This I just have here to make my Styanax a little bit tankier. You can go with something else. I don't have anything off the top of my head. Maybe a gladiator mod if you like doing melee. Because this drains energy. This will make sure you have that survivability, and especially with your rally point giving you energy per second, you can afford to take something like this. If you like using explosive weapons, doing sure-footed is a good choice. It gives you a 60% chance to not be staggered. Other than that, it's really up to you on what you want to use. Our config B is the quote-unquote team player. As you can see, we have a 205% range, and this is to make sure that our rally point extends over the entire map, so that way everybody in our squad is going to get this energy per second. Because once they leave our radius, then the effect stops and we have to reapply it. So we have overextended. We've got our blind rage to make sure that we're getting enough energy to everybody. And we've got our stretch. You can remove intensify or continuity, or even streamline if you think you can go with the 55% power strength or power efficiency. But I would recommend removing continuity or intensify and giving yourself auger reach if you feel like you need the extra range. At this point, you've still got fairly decent stats over everything else, and you have an 85% damage reduction on your Theros Strike with an 18.5 meter range to strip all that armor off. So use that quite liberally. Your only problem here is going to be your energy drain, but once again, you've got 5 energy a second for 39 seconds. Don't really worry about it. This is the budget one. Now, if you don't have blind rage or overextended, you get those by doing Orokin Derelict tile sets. The easiest way to do that, and the one everyone does, is Horrend. That fulfills that Orokin Derelict tile set requirement to get the Orokin rooms that you need. The specific keys you'll need to open it are available in the Tenno lab in your clan dojo. If you don't have one, you can do what I did, and what I did was I just made my own dojo, built the clan dojo key, and then what you do is you just build a cross connection, a 4-way connector, build a power generator, an oracle, and then your Orokin lab. That is how you do that. And that gets you your keys, and then once you've researched the keys, you have the blueprints in your inventory forever. So you can immediately destroy the Orokin research room, get back that forma you used to build it, and then build something more important like a Tenno research lab. So that way you can start getting your Arcwing up and running. But when you do those rooms, you'll have a chance to get corrupted mods, overextended, and blind rage being some of them. As you can see, we've got 2 points, so we can increase our overextended even more to get even more range on this, as well as our Theros Strike. We've got flow here. If you're willing to get rid of all this extra energy, go down to a 225, you can get rid of your flow for auger reach. I just like the extra gap and wiggle room that the flow gives me to spam my abilities. Especially people like getting out of my reach for rally point. The best places to use this are going to be Helene, Saturn, and up here on Sedna, Hydron. These have the very small defense tile sets, so pretty much no matter where your companions go, they'll always be affected by this, so they're always going to be getting your 5 energy a second. Possibly 4 when you fully upgraded your overextended. Of course, you can upgrade your blind rage to compensate for this almost completely. So you'll be down to pretty much exactly 5 once you've done that. And then our final option here is the one I like to call the personal Styanax, because we've, as you can see, our range is down to only 46%. It's because we've got narrow-minded here. I have a flow here simply for proof of concept that this is what's going to be here, because we have blind rage. That's for extra energy and comfortability. We've got narrow-minded, streamline, flow, intensify, prime continuity, blind rage, transient fortitude, and redirection. This is mostly for the higher tier players because we've started getting prime mods. We've got a lot more corrupted mods. You can swap the intensify with an umbral intensify. I haven't had enough endo to put that on, nor enough space if I wanted to put my flow here. But redirection, so that way we take advantage of Styanax's passive to get our increased crit chance. Energy siphon or corrosive projection, as I said. If you want to go just that little bit more tanky, you can swap this with the brief respite just to try and take advantage of the increased drains, especially if you want to get rid of streamline for something else, maybe an augur secrets for the extra power strength, or augur reach to try and offset this range penalty, so that way your Pharaoh strike goes a little bit further so you don't have to run into whatever enemy you need to armor strip. But the extra power strength is mostly solely for your rally point. What I would recommend is to get rid of Final Stand and replace it with something like Roar on your helmet. I would recommend this for pretty much all of these, especially for config B, which is mostly the support one with your extended range, for the fact that your Final Stand, especially later on, will not be doing a whole lot of damage. The slash will be, but the amount of time it takes to actually get all that slash out, rather than Garuda, who does it almost immediately and gives you invulnerability while she's doing it, is not really worth it. On the other hand, Roar will buff your entire squad. You will have to like stand really close to them if you're going to use this config, but it will grant them incredible amounts of damage, especially if you've got, you know, your 246 or even just your 171 on your team player version. But even on config A, even just your 130% with a base intensify is still going to be much better than normal. I myself do not have Rhino right now. I am building all of his parts, as you can see. And then I'll build him. And if you're wondering what subsuming is, this is for all you new players out there. This is the Helminth room. You will not have access to this normally until you get the Helminth piece that you get from Deimos and the Necrolis. These people. You need to be tier 3, and it will cost you 15,000 standing, so farm up for that. And just on Deimos, you'll get the Heart of Deimos quest to go here once you hit Mars and get past this. But once you do that, you'll unlock your Helminth segment. And when you're here, you'll be able to name it. I've named mine Septus, an ancient god of death. But once you do it, you'll be able to subsume a warframe. This will use the warframe, so it'll leave your inventory, but you'll gain a certain ability of whatever that warframe is. Rhinos will give you Roar. So you'll only have a 30% damage increase. It's diminished, but 30-second base duration. So with our increased duration of 30%, you'll be still having that 39% second. So every time you need to refresh rally point, you'll refresh Roar as well. Makes it easy to use. The radius 25%, that'll be increased to 50. So you'll have a slightly shorter range than our rally point, but you'll be hitting almost everybody on your mission to give them that damage increase. Now, to take advantage of Theros' passive, and we'll see it here. Crit chance increases with the shields and doubles for spear guns. You won't have access to many spear guns. In fact, the easiest spear gun that you'll have access to is either going to be the Scourge, which is an MR6 spear gun, but its crit chance is very, very low at only 2%, so we can't really take advantage of this almost at all. It's got decent status chance at a 30%, so if you want to try and get a feel for it, just go to your Tenno lab. It will require Nitane extract to get that from Nightwave. The other one, and the one that is probably going to be used for your crit chance, is going to be the Javelok. A 20% base crit chance and a 25% status. It uses heat. It's an MR7 weapon, and you'll need to go to your Chem Lab dojo, and you'll need Javelok capacitors. You get those off of series, killing the people with the Amphis that like to block all your bullets. But this will be the slightly easier one. You have another option in the form of the Ferox. This one has even more crit chance and an even higher crit multiplier, but it has a charge time whenever you fire it. But that is something you can mitigate using Vigilante Fervor or Speed Trigger. Vigilante Fervor is a C-Dis bounty mod. I would recommend getting it, especially on your Sentinel, because it enhances crit chance, or crit damages. So let's say you get a yellow crit, you will actually increase that to an orange crit 5% of the time if you only have Vigilante Fervor. It's not a whole often, but it is useful whenever it procs. So that's something you could use whenever you're trying to, you know, get rid of this half-second charge time. So on to what weapons we'd use. This is mostly for new players, especially when using something like the Dread. But even if you don't want to put a Forma into this, Hunter Munitions incredibly useful because we're always critting. So 30% of the time, we will be doing additional slash proc damage. If you don't like cold damage, don't worry, go for Thermite or something. Thermite rounds, Rime rounds, you both get them from spy missions. Heat is probably going to be the better of the two. By probably, I mean definitely going to be the better of the two. I just had cold on here because that's what I had at the time. You can use Malignant Force if you want toxin damage to bypass Corpus shields, but if you're already going Hunter Munitions, just go for Thermite. It's going to be much better. But we can use Point Strike instead of Critical Delay to get our 150% crit chance, because Styanax, with our redirection, even at base 1650 shields, we have a 41% crit increase. So we're pretty much already hitting our 150%, because the crit chance Styanax adds is like adding on top of our Point Strike. So instead of our 150%, we're at 191%. Of course, you can just go all in on your crit chance, get up 241%, because once we activate Rally Point and start getting our overshields from this, we can get even more crit chance, up to about 81%, so you can almost get a full 200% crit chance. So use this. Of course, we can just remove Hunter Munitions and put in Vital Sense. Split Chamber is also a very much good thing to use, because, you know, extra arrows, extra damage. But I would do that if you decide to put in an Orokin Catalyst. If you don't, this is probably going to be one of the better builds. You can just swap out Thermite rounds for Vital Sense and call it a day. I wouldn't recommend it because the damage decrease is not really worth it unless you're getting consistent orange crits, and for something like that I would recommend using Crit Delay, but that's going to decrease your charge time. because getting an orange crit increases the crit multiplier, doubling it, as you can see from the little info tag. So at that point, it would be worth it, but until then, I'd just keep using thermite rounds. The base damage is much better. And then the Atomos. All hail the Atomos. It chains, that means it is very good. This, or I guess this one, is going to be what a standard player will use. I would recommend using an Orokin Catalyst on this one, because the next best thing is going to be something like the Kuva Nukor, which is very, very late. But here is going to be what a basic build is going to look like. Your Hornet Strike might not be this high. I'd recommend putting it this high, but it might not be. Don't worry about it. Hornet Strike, Heated Charge, Gunslinger, Barrel Diffusion, Stunning Speed, and Scorch. You can remove this Heated Charge and go... Excuse me. And go for Pathogen rounds. This will change this to gas damage, which will increase the AoE. So you're applying a lot more gas procs to people. Go for this if you want to. You'll do effectively the same damage, but you won't have the heat status proc, which I like because it causes a light CC, causing the enemies to wave their hands around so they're not shooting at you. I very much like that. And as you can see, we've got a 15% crit chance. It's not a whole lot, and it's only going to go up to like 22.5% at base using Styanax's little increase here. So about a fifth of the time you'll crit. It's not a lot, but it's a nice additive. If you want to start formatting your gun, start putting polarizations here, start reducing all these costs and whatnot, one of the next things I'd recommend almost immediately is going to be Stunning Speed. Oh wait, we already have that here. Very good. Then one of the next things I'd recommend is just put Pistol Pestilence, put most of the other 60/60 mods, Jolt, as well as whatever the Frostbite, I believe, is the cold version of this, and start moving these mods around to get whatever elemental combinations you want. This will increase our status chance. Also, use Lethal Torrent. Lethal Torrent's a fire rate and a multi-shot mod. That'll get you 180% multi-shot. So you'll almost be firing 3 beams almost continuously. And that'll drastically increase your status chance. All the 60/60 mods will as well. And then we have Gunslinger on here to increase our fire rate, because this gun's main objective is to increase statuses. It's a primer weapon. Yeah. Config A, that's what I just use normally. And you get a little bit more damage off of it because we're using a primed mod here. You don't get as much fire rate, so... This is just what I threw together the first time I was trying to level it, because I just kind of wanted as much damage as possible per shot. C is if we wanted to just go fully take advantage of Styanax as a new player, and we just went full crit. Creeping Bullseye is a corrupted mod. I like Creeping Bullseye over our Pistol Gambit, because you get an 80% additional crit chance with only a minus 20% in fire rate. So from an 8 to a 6.4, that's a whatever. And even if you go for primed Pistol Gambit, and if you max it all the way out using like 2 million credits and like 20,000 some odd endo, you only get up to 187% crit chance. Sure, it gets rid of the minus fire rate, but that's a weird crit chance number, so I'd always just go Creeping Bullseye, because I also meant to pay for all the mod space. You won't have Prime Target Cracker, and you probably won't have Prime Heated Charge. But you'll get Target Cracker, that's only 9 points, and Heated Charge is only 11, so you'll have 5 points for a total of 8. You can just go and put Scorch on. That'll increase your fire damage even more. It'll put your crit chance, or your status chance back up. Really good. But as you see, we'll have a 45% crit chance, and you'll probably have like a 2.8, 2.7 crit multiplier using a maxed Prime Target Cracker. Because the Prime Target Cracker goes up to a 60%, this is a 70% right now. heated charge, you'll have the 90%, so you'll have a little bit extra fire damage going to a normal heated charge and a normal scorch, or a pistol pestilence for gas damage if you like that. We don't have stunning speed on here, which is sad because that really keeps our sustained DPS up, going from a 2-second reload to a 1.4. But this crit chance, especially when we get our overshields up, or even just our normal amount of shields, we'll get up to like a 50 or 60% crit chance with a 2.9 crit multiplier. We're doing good if you just wanted to go all in on the crit chance on this. And since it chains, it's a good idea. Finally, most people will have the Zorus just doing the Deadlock protocol. So I've got this, and then I've got two others, I guess. This is just a basic. I don't want to put any catalyst in here because I want to use something else. Maybe you've got a Glaive Prime lined up. Maybe you've got another weapon you like. But we go full crit as well, using Styanax, obviously. So we've already got a 44%. The Zorus, its main thing is that it never loses combo count. Its combo duration is infinite. So you'll get your max times 12 crit multiplier if you only use the Zorus, which means going full in on crit, especially if you wanted to use, I've got it here, Blood Rush. Stack your crit chance multiplier even higher. You've got Styanax increasing it as well. So your True Steel, you'll go from plus 120 to about plus 180% normally. And then you'll get higher and higher as you get more overshields using Rally Point. So you'll get maybe around 200% crit chance rather than your base 160%. So you'll be up 40, 60% crit chance. 60% crit chance without Blood Rush active or any Gladiator mods active. So if you want to replace Fury with like Gladiator Vice and get the 10% crit chance per combo counter that way rather than through something like Blood Rush, I wouldn't recommend it. I just put Blood Rush on there, honestly. You can put Gladiator Vice and Blood Rush on, make even better crits, really get consistent orange crits or even possibly red crits. Go for, if you like throwing it, and I'd recommend throwing it once you get everything up, go for Volatile Quick Return. You get this off of Deimos, just kill stuff, call it a day, have fun. After that, you kind of can go a little bit everywhere. If you like using the throws, use Power Throw in conjunction with Volatile Quick Return. Just get all that extra throw damage as you possibly can. Beyond that, mod it for something that you want for Elemental. So we'll have Blood Rush here. We'll have, let's just say we put Gladiator Vice here for a Gladiator mod. And then here we can put, or no, here we'll put our Volatile Quick Return, or just Quick Return. So that way it just comes back. It doesn't go where you want it to. So Blood Rush, Quick Return. And then here and here, we can put two things. First off, we can put Weeping Wounds, which is the status version of this. So you want to really start hitting those slash procs, put Weeping Wounds here because you'll hit your 12 times combo multiplier thanks to infinite combo duration. And then here you'll put kind of whatever you want. It's a little bit of a flex slot, which just means anything you want to put here, you can put here. Fire is once again one of the best single elements you can put on your weapon because it does the light CC, causing them to flail around, and it reduces their armor a little bit if you don't want to get close using Theros Strike with Styanax. You could also, if you don't like the secondary and melee weapon with a glaive, you can use the Hate. If you've been farming the Stalker, eventually he'll drop this. Maybe not, but if you have it, 30% crit chance, 2.5 times crit multiplier. which means it is a prime candidate for our organ shatter and our true steel, already pumping it up to a 66% chance. So if we get it to our 200, we'll have almost a 90% chance. Once again, we'll just build this like the Zorus, but instead of using a Gladiator Vice, we'll put a Gladiator Rush here, or a body count. Gladiator Rush is preferred, simply so that way we add on to the Blood Rush already here, just to really increase that crit chance, get our crit damage up. And it'll also increase our combo duration, so that way we can actually keep all of our combo multipliers. Once again, that flex slot, fire is always a good option. If you want to go the status fire, the 60-60 mod, you can do that. Volcanic Edge. Or you can go for a Smite mod. Smite mod is going to be better if you're only facing that thing. So if you're doing a survival against Grineer or defense against Grineer, go for the Smite Grineer, because it's a multiplicative rather than the additive of the fire mod. So go for the Smite Grineer if you can, or smite anything. And then our final is what everyone will have, is the Broken War. You get this off of the second Drain quest. You already have a fairly decent 35% crit chance, even higher than our Hate. You have a slightly lower crit multiplier, but nobody really cares about that, because we're already going to increase that using Organ Shatter. True Steel, Fury, Pressure Point, Blood Rush, Carnage Mandible, because anything over a certain percentage, about 75% of the total damage being done by one type, makes these 90% increases worth it. So we've got Drifting Contact. I like that over a standard body count if you don't have any of the Gladiator mods. It's a Nightmare mod, and you should be doing these continuously to get a couple mods, a la Lethal Torrent and Drifting Contact. The status chance, that brings us up to a 40% without any other status increases. You can, of course, equip a correct polarity. Here it's a Materite, it's a V polarity. You can see it here, it's a V polarity. Crimson Dervish works in here, but all I've got is an Iron Phoenix, so. But here you can see we've got really good crit chance and crit multiplier mods, or modifiers here. We are doing 1,000 damage base. Got Molten Impact in here. Once again, this would be where you'd put a Gladiator mod. There is a Gladiator mod that increases its crit multiplier even more. I'd recommend that, because that'll also start increasing your crit chance again. And with that, that would be what I would recommend. Of course, for all you higher level players, you'll have, primed stuff. Just go for a crit chance prime on Styanax, obviously, unless you want to use your melee as a primer. You can do that. Obviously, just go for a long range primer. You know what you're doing. For a secondary, you can go, if you just really wanted to double down on all the crit, go for a Nell Prime. That is amazing right now. Even you new players can do it. I have a farming plat guide if you really want to go for that. Nell Prime it loves headshots and it loves crits. And with a headshot multiplier of 3 times, even without any arcanes, never a better time. Especially since Styanax increases that crit chance, so you'll even be hitting more consistent red crits, going full bore onto the crit side. But I like the Atomos. I like going full crit, because we're already on our crit guy. Might as well. Of course, you can just go full status. Not a problem. It's what everyone will tell you to do it with, and since it's a good primer, go for it. If you are going full primer, you're going to remove the Hornet Strike. Your purpose is not damage. Do not care about this total. Care about how many separate statuses are on here. You'll be able to get 2, I believe. You'll be able to get a... Let's test this real quick, actually. So we've got our Pistol Pestilence. We'll just put Ice Storm on here. So right now we've got a Heat and a Viral, and then if we go and put on Convulsion, we've got a Blast and a Corrosive. So you'll be able to get 2 status effects here. The best combination for that would be a Viral and Radiation, or just a Viral and Heat. Viral and Heat would work much better. But as you can see, we're already up to our 36.7. And if we're going to use, and we are, something like Barrel Diffusion and then Stunning Speed, we're up to a 43%. And then you'll also have Pistol Pestilence Max. So let's go do that just to show you.
Your collection of mods is impressive, operator. But I wonder if there are more to be had.
52%. So if you have the Frostbite, you'll have that probably up to like a 60, maybe a 70%, closer to like a 65, I guess. And then to really, really double down on this, we're trying to apply as many statuses as possible. So we'd go to Anemic Agility. This is another corrupted mod. You can tell a corrupted mod because it's going to be, it's going to have a negative. Dang it, I'm out of mods. I don't like that. Endo is a Bane. Always, always, always do Baru. She will help with that. I don't know why it's putting me on config C. I've been on config A the entire time. But as you can see, we're up to a 15 fire rate, and we've still got Gunslinger. 21 fire rate. We are really, really pumping the amount of status we're doing. We've got 52% status chance, 21 fire rate. This will be like a 65% once you got Frostbite here. Incredible status supply weapon. And it chains between 2 or 3 additional enemies. So you're applying this to 3 or 4 different people. Of course, this slot here doesn't seem useful, but what ends up happening is eventually you'll get a sure shot. Sure shot. And its polarity matches this perfectly. So you'll only have to put in a single forma, preferably onto this Barrel Diffusion. It's the highest mod cost that you got here. And once you do that, you'll have a fully maxed out Atomos hitting somewhere around a 70% status chance per shot. And we've got 21. So 70% of 21, you'll be hitting somewhere around 14. No. 70% of 21. Somewhere around a 15. Yeah, 15 of these rounds will apply a heat or a viral. It's going to apply more heat than it will viral. You can fix that by putting this at only a rank 1. I wouldn't recommend it. You can, of course, remove Gunslinger and put on a pathogen rounds or a whatever the cold one is. Deep freeze. That too will hit here. So you'll just put your deep freeze here and you'll put your sure shot here. Deep freeze will be 11, sure shot will be 9. And that will get you an increased viral, so you'll apply more viral procs because it'll do more of the total damage. And that's always what's important when applying status procs. It won't always work, but most of the time that's what happens. So is Styanax worth it? I would say yes. I like him. His Thorough Strike strips armor. If you're trying to wonder how far will he take you, even just using our A config here, basic mods, everybody should have these. Or eventually they should have these. You can go into Mott in the Void, or 30 to 40, or 40 to 45 actually, and you can survive there 10 minutes, almost zero problems. I say almost zero because you will have to kill stuff. Kill a lot. 40 to 45, especially on a shield heavy frame, which doesn't get the benefit from armor, you will need the benefit from rally point to start regaining all your shields. But you can do it, and if Corrupted Vor comes to give you a problem, and you're trying to figure out how the do I kill this guy, the answer is your 4. Go over and use Final Stand. Kill him dead using this. You can do it. Just keep your rally point up. You'll have enough energy to hit him like 3 times with this. And then call it a day. You'll probably leave it 10 minutes unless you really know how to position yourself. Use your Atomos, use your melee weapon. Especially if you're using the Zorus, you could probably go way higher thanks to its infinite combo duration and the crit chance you're going to be provided by a Styanax and Blood Rush. I myself don't like the Zorus. I just don't like glaives in general. They are very good though. I know, I used it, I just don't like it. The Atomos can take you that far, especially if you're going to go for something like this, where you're just focusing almost solely on damage. It will take you that far. It won't take you as far as the Zorus will until you start getting galvanized mods, but it will take you very far. It will... Styanax will also, if you have a hard-hitting weapon like our Dread, or the one everyone likes to use because it's very easy to get, is the Vectis. This will kill Necromex if you're trying to get to the new war. Necromex you do from the ISO vaults on Deimos. This will kill Necromex. I've done it. It is not easy, and Necromex, once again, very tough. You've only got shields. You will, and since there aren't a whole lot of other enemies, rally point will not be saving you here. You will need to position yourself well. You will need to take very good shots. The crit chance from having your 1600 shields, your 41% base, will drastically help your Vectis here. It already likes crit chance. Doing your 25%, getting it an additional 12.5%, getting crit delay, you'll have an 87.5% chance to crit. You'll be critting almost every time. Get your Vital Sense, get your Serration, go to town on it. I would recommend to have instead something hard-hitting like a Lex Prime. It's the first pistol you can do. I've got 7 form on this, but Lex Prime is the easiest hard-hitting weapon that can easily get, that I know will take care of it, especially if you have Roar. Roar is going to be like your one ticket to success using Styanax is going to be Roar. He doesn't have a whole lot of damage buff besides Theros Strike, removing the armor off the enemies, but you can't remove armor off of the Necromech unless I just didn't hit him right. I tried a couple of times, I couldn't do it. Maybe you can. If you can, good. You'll need Roar even less, especially if you're going to be doing stuff like the ISO vaults. I would recommend removing Final Stand or Axios Javelin. Axios Javelin might be the one you're going to remove, but I find the situational use of the Vortex much more useful than the possible use of the kill feature of this, especially as you get higher in level. The additional bonus from Roar is going to be much better than this. And with that, I guess that's it. Styanax is good if you want to build him, or if you earned him free like this is used for to help new players. Getting redirection will just take you through pretty much this entire star chart from planet to planet. You'll only really have trouble when you start getting to infested heavy areas like Eris and Deimos when the toxin starts hitting. But then you'll just use Theros Strike, your 2, and you'll regenerate health. And considering you only have 300, You just need to hit 3 people. 130 health. Hit 3 people, even if you're using Saxon Carapace or Carnus Carapace, you're going to be getting your 390 health, your entire health bar. So with that, I thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.